All right. Welcome back to M.U.D.A.Radio. I'm here
Yeah, but
with.
this one was bad.
Yeah. Well, where I'm here with uh, anarchist John. Uh,
Hey,
I'm here with my buddy Michael. Say hello. Or don't. Fine. That's fine. All right.
No, I believe in voluntarism, so.
Well, there you go. I'm here with PillarOfSalt, who is our resident left-leaner communist, or whatever you want to call him.
That's me.
It's my boy. I am Gindray, Toby, and I'm also here with our quiet but welcome guest, Jon Iva, who is our buddy, who is our Discord friend from Ireland, born in Lithuania. And today we're going to probably just jump into man-made climate change and all of those wonderful, wonderful topics. So, start that
If I
off.
may,
Yeah.
I'd like a raise of hands with voices, of course, since they can't see our hands.
Mhm.
Who here would, I guess, consider themselves a hippie versus the industrious sorts? Who here has environment as a priority in mind versus who has economics as a priority in mind?
I honestly
You
would.
mean health, or what do you mean?
Why don't we just go through each person individual for that question?
Yeah.
That way we don't talk about each other.
Okay, yeah, let's
discuss their own.
John, let's start off with you. John, what is your priority? Is your bias probably more towards the environment or the economy?
Normally, I would have a strong bias towards economics because, I'm kind of obsessed. But in terms of climate change and discussions, I tend to be sort of a hippie. Because as wonderful as I think as it is for humans to, we have to have the environment as a priority in mind. And while I do not believe that it is a right to forcefully impose it on other people, I do believe that the economy should be used as a tool, and that we need, as a priority, we need to get people focused on the environment, on making sure that the earth and our world around us is healthy enough to support us.
I agree. I'll go next, and I'll say one of the only reasons that I'm a minarchist and not an anarchist is one, my roads, and then two is a private land. I do think I want government in order to protect like certain private parks and stuff like that, like Algonquin up in Canada, which is beautiful. And I do agree with that being something that is good for a public system. And I guess I'll pass it to Mike. Mike, what would your preference be for economics versus?
Let me just kill this guy quickly. Hold on.
Michael's playing video games during our podcast because it's his best way to think. John, we'll pass it to you then for a sec.
All right.
Killed me, bugger.
What do you think? What do you think is your preference? Do you think you care more about the economy or the environment?
I would care more for the environment, as I believe I want to preserve it.
And do you believe in? Do you believe in man-made climate change, or or is your primary focus purely on the ecosystem?
It's GT more. It's the point of more man-made and its ecosystem, as we do ruin it
Sure.
by what our do by factories. Our ozone layer, of course, it's damaged. That's where global warming comes in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess I'll
It's
go.
that we need to recover the ozone layer.
I don't know
As we
if
could-
that's possible, but also
It is possible, and it's
I
already
think the Earth
happening.
just does
It's
that
better.
itself. Yeah.
It's better than in last 3 or few years.
And then I'll pass that to Mike.
Okay, so it's economic or environment, right?
Yeah. And then specify.
I go with economic right off the bat because you need a society that has capital, wealth to take care of the environment. A society that is poor can't take care of the environment because they're simply trying to survive. If you live in a hut, a straw hut, and you are simply just trying to food each day to feed your family, and that is your priority because you don't have a stimulus of food. That's what you're going to do. You're not going to even think about the environment. You're going to rip the environment apart to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need that to even have sustainable environments.
To be able to
Number
have
one.
this
I do care
conversation,
about
yeah.
the environment. I do care about the environment, but I think the economy is more important because you can't even take care of the environment without an economy. So
Yeah, take
So
care
yeah,
of your
Got me, dude.
customers.
I'm changing sides.
And then okay, so John's on economy. I'm on environment because that's my bias.
And last is Landon, right?
Iva's on environment, Mike's on economy, and then Landon will be our deciding factor here, and then we'll see where our balance
wait.
is on this.
All right.
Because we can't have Landon answer because we have to delegate it to someone else. So Toby, be our central authority and choose who's going to represent.
Jesus
Landon.
Christ.
Fair enough.
I'm going to give permission to Landon to speak. Landon?
Ooh. A permission?
Yeah.
What did I do to get that?
Being a commie. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks, baby. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no problem.
jokes aside, shit, I had a thought process and then my brain stopped working. Hold on, let me reacquire my. Oh yeah,
God,
I was gonna make a joke, but now it's been ruined. So, anyways, to go to the actual content of everything because I wasn't able to execute on the joke. I actually believe that the environment predicates life, and life predicates economy. Because if you have massive climate change, you can't have the ability for our stable governments and everybody to work together. There will be a large amount of issues. I believe that it is a prerequisite to creating a stable living place for people to have people live well or even live at all. And so I think that we should prioritize the environment over any personal amounts of economy. I don't think we should destabilize any government, like any global economy for it, because that would just cause nuclear war and that destroys the environment anyways. But I think any personal gain, everybody should be willing to give up any of their excess to save the environment, which would include rich people, but they don't give a fuck.
Rich people do more to help the environment, actually.
I'm talking about like the people who own the banks and the people who
Yeah, but
If we're talking about rich people, Leonardo DiCaprio is like.
I'm not talking about that type of rich. That's piddly rich.
You're
I'm talking about
yeah.
actual rich.
I'm glad that you specify that because a lot of people like to really push on the 1%, and they say the 1% a lot, and that's not the issue.
That's
Bernie
us.
Sanders once is specifically guilty of this, where that is not the problem. The problem is in the 0.01%.
Yeah,
it's in the
there's
absurdly
piddly rich and
rich,
there's
the
mega
absurdly powerful. Yes, and I do have issues with those people. But the what I wanted to get into specifically, if we're going to talk about man-made climate change, we're going to talk about oil, we're going to talk about burning fossil fuels and how that's a problem. First, I want to jump into the Keystone Pipeline, if we can. Does anybody know about the
Can you
Keystone?
I'm sorry, can I just take you back for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Mike.
mix up the names.
I was just
Remind me
gonna
which
say
one
this is a
Keystone?
much. Who's talking? Me or John? I don't know. Who's talking?
Let's get Mike go first, and then I'll get John. Is that fine?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that this format was actually a lot more ordered this time, which was nice. Go through each people's opinion on the subject. That was much better. That doing it this way.
Okay, well, we can talk about the semantics of the podcast after the podcast. Keep going, though.
Like, who cares? Seriously.
All right, fine.
And so, who voted economy and who voted environment?
We
Can you get,
have
like a.
you and John are on economy, and then I'm kind of centrist on the issue, and then it'll be, but I am on environment, I would say, and then you have Pillar and Iva on environment.
All right. That's all I wanted.
Yes. So, what I wanted to get into, actually, John, you can go first. As well.
Yeah, I know most of the pipelines that run out of the United States, but I mix up their names. So if you could tell me just where the Keystone one is?
Keystone Pipeline, I believe specifically, is a new pipeline that was being built, and it's going through like a native territory or whatever. And there was a bunch of like issues with that. And I believe it's coming from Canada to the United States.
No, not Alberta.
Frig, like I know, man. It's been a while. Anyways, the argument specifically, a lot of the argument came about, the oil industry and oil is bad for the environment, and it was kind of this quick 2 + 2 = 4 kind of conversation. But I wanted to make the argument that having the pipeline is better for the environment than transporting the fuel through tankers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
I pulled it up. I see where it is.
Yeah, when you have this pipeline, you're going to have a more direct and safer mode of travel for this oil than burning more fossil fuels in order to transport it to your locations. You're also
Oh,
risking
crap,
like
man.
spills and stuff. Like if you're talking about like transporting it over the ocean across boats, like you're risking a lot of really damaging the ecosystem with that. So.
It goes through Alberta, isn't it? It is Alberta, yeah.
Yes,
It's
it goes from Alberta to Nebraska, and then from there it branches. It goes to Illinois, and it also goes south through Texas, Louisiana to the Gulf.
Yeah, it seems to actually go through Saskatchewan as well.
Yep.
And then it goes into.
All right, well, I just wanted to bring up that quick point, and then I guess we'll talk about capitalism involved with oil and stuff, blah blah blah. Because I wanted
we're not going to talk about climate change.
We are talking about climate change because I wanted to talk about the idea that oil is a non-renewable resource. Obviously, eventually we will run out. It won't be for a while,
no.
but what?
I would have to disagree with you there.
Why?
Because one, crude oil is not a fossil fuel; it is a mineral oil, and mineral oils are easily replenishable. We do it all the time, and oil is no exception there. Petroleum is not an exception.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
I did not know that. I learned a thing.
Petroleum oil is renewable. It's just annoying, but it's renewable, and it happens naturally all the time. We get oil from all over the fucking planet. Like, most places on Earth, you can dig a hole and get oil.
Yeah.
Obviously, people don't do it because it's expensive, and then you have to refine it. And
That's the second thing I wanted to bring up. The idea that the process for oil is very expensive. The process and is typically a lot of the times becomes government subsidized for some oil companies.
It's not even that it's expensive. What it really is, it's dangerous. Shit explodes a lot.
That too. And what I was going to say is capitalism typically will take care of that, especially once the technology for like solar panels becomes more prevalent. Things like that are going to be more readily accessible, especially if they are completely private and aren't under some kind of government regulation. Because now you're cutting out the middleman, and when you cut out the middleman for like, laying these pipelines in cities and stuff like that have to go through all these government regulations and stuff like that. And instead, somebody's just putting them on their house and then powering their house. People are going to be a lot more privy to that. It is a much more simpler form of energy than oil.
Okay.
And eventually, I just think that solar panels are basically going to take over, or whatever other form is going to take over.
What's more expensive?
The whole
more
process
expensive to
for
create?
oil, probably.
You think so?
And it's less dangerous, right?
We actually don't know.
And
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying is eventually it's going to become a lot easier for these companies to make these renewable sources of energy as technology gets better.
Yeah, but you see, burning coal, for example, produces more energy than a solar panel.
Mm-hmm. For now, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying let capitalism do its thing.
So if you allow, if you allow capitalism to do its thing, it'll develop at a certain point, and maybe we'll move past it. But let's jump over to forced improvement or whatever, and ignore anarcho John over there.
Authoritarianism.
It's going to create bad products because yes, there will be some products that will exist that will be sustained, but let's hope that we can subsidize some that will improve the system quicker in the direction we want it to go, which is not the way the economy wants to go. Anyways, done with all of that. I'm going to say that solar panel technology is very, very underdeveloped right now. Because of the fact that people are just not taking it seriously. Because like you see solar panel cars and people just kind of laugh. And the reason is because they haven't created a high enough efficiency solar panel.
I don't know about that entirely. Tesla is doing incredibly well right now. Well,
yeah, Tesla's doing well, but he's also that's the thing that's doing the whole solar panel stuff right now. But like we need to better get solar panels that are commercially available to people.
Exactly.
That will make their car able to drive, that will make their house able to run, and like Tesla's doing that. The problem
I have solar panels on my house. My entire roof is covered in solar panels, and it's pretty great. Because eventually, what will end up happening is once the solar panels are completely paid off, the government will be paying us for the excess energy.
Well, that's one thing that I don't actually agree with that's going on right now is the fact that like you can't build a windmill in your backyard. You just can't. It's not allowed.
I understand that, and there is a reason. Those things are fucking loud. Like, fucking loud.
Not just that. Hold on a second. You're an environmental guy, right? Why would you even want a windmill? They kill slaughter birds by the thousands.
I don't give a fuck about birds. We have too many birds anyways.
Burbs.
Okay,
Like, that's a problem.
You're environmental to a point.
Yeah, he's environmentalist on the climate scale. I'm environmentalist on the.
I'm environmentalist on the it's necessary. Like
I'm
the
environmentalist on the like I would protect an ant scale.
Yes,
like, I'm kind of a hippie, and I still choose.
I'm ecosystem. You're climate. Yeah.
Well, like so, you can protect from killing birds with things like that. It's just that I'm saying specifically the fact that like you can't put up one if you're out in the middle of nowhere living on your own and you need power and you don't want to spend the money on the thing that they want to build.
I disagree with that.
You're not allowed to.
I agree with your point on that. I disagree with the government regulating.
Suburban argument? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. If you're putting it like next, you're like if I put one in my backyard and my neighbors would fucking kill me. Like holy shit. But if you want to farm, you should be, and you have like a large portion of land. Like if you have over a certain amount of acres, you should be allowed to put whatever you want on your land. Like whatever you want.
Where I live.
I completely agree.
Except for the Clintons. You cannot.
I live in the countryside, and farmers have their own windmills.
Yeah.
And windmills are awful. Windmills are awful. They're bad.
No, which ones are here? They're pretty much quiet.
It's not about quiet, it's about the birds. The birds get wrecked by them.
Yeah, he's upset about killing birds. Don't kill birds.
Look it up.
Yeah, I know, I get the point, but you know.
Well, you can definitely stop it from killing birds by putting up.
Yes, you can.
There are things you can do to solve that.
I love
just
that
don't
not
environmentalists
are more concerned about the birds than the
advantageous.
hippies. You guys are bad hippies.
Well, they care less about birds than they care about money.
At all.
That's the whole point of what I'm saying there. People who set up
I just don't
ones.
like windmills. I don't think they work. So
They're
People
not
who set
as
up giant
effective
windmills?
as they could be, as well.
They will only be effective in certain conditions.
You're probably better off, honestly, buying solar panels than you are building
solar
a
panels
wind
are
wind
bigger
turbine.
thing in Ireland as we.
Well,
we don't get a lot of sunshine.
Yeah,
it's still-
those are also pretty good. Those are pretty solid.
We keep interrupting Iva. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's alright.
Keep interrupting Iva. This is the Interrupting Iva podcast. Welcome.
Yes,
I'm
it is.
Toby. This is John. This is Pillar. This is Michael. Shut up, Iva. No, I'm kidding. But anyways,
I don't know how you guys can square the whole you need to have a society with wealth to even take care of the environment. I don't know how you see that point.
I don't think anyone
economy has to
disagreed.
be for environment. You can't take care of the environment and live comfortably at all, or you can't even just live. Period. You're gonna have to try to survive, and then by extension, you won't be able to take care of the
You're gonna be
environment.
burning tires to cook your meat. Yeah, but but no, I don't think anyone really disagrees with you, Mike, on that. To be honest.
Then why wouldn't they just take the position of economy over environment?
Because
my personal opinion.
He thinks
is
you
that
can't
the
have an
is based
economy
on large amount.
if you're dead, is basically what he's saying.
Well, my personal position is the economy is driven by people's need to gain more than another person, and that would be counterproductive to give away your shit to make the environment work.
See, I don't see greed by wanting more for yourself. I see greed by wanting to take someone else's things.
I see greed as wanting to gain more as compared to another person. And that's what everybody's dream is, to become a rich guy. But you don't want to live comfortably. You want to be rich, which is defined as being more powerful and have more
Your dreams
capital
are
than
way
everyone
different
else.
than mine, bro.
I'm saying
Toby
that
actually-
everybody's, as told as a kid, you're always told you want to be rich. That's what you're
My
told.
dream is to get a banjo and like a relatively cute girl to like
I want
hang
to.
out with me.
You're
on
also
my date.
fucking weird.
Girls are gay, but I
person
want.
that wants to have sex with girls. Gross.
Yeah,
I do want the
disgusting.
banjo, but I do agree with the girl part.
I
I don't want the
Really
banjo.
hit me with a tree.
That's because you're a pussy, Mike.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Get a banjo, kid.
I'm not instrumental.
I want. I take the no surprises by Radiohead approach. I
want
want
violin.
a quiet life with no surprises. So
I'd like
I
to
just
buy
want to
it.
live.
I want.
yeah,
I wanna live with
most
some
people
surprise
most
money
people
will
just want to live. Some people do want to be rich and powerful, and you know those people are what we refer to as psychopaths. But you know,
Like, I don't care. They can be rich and powerful
you,
if they want.
Toby.
Just don't.
yeah,
Well, people-
but that's none of my business. Yeah, it's like how someone else dictates how they want to live their life or what materials they have is none of my business, because
Well,
the reality of the situation is they would have to be incredibly grossly rich in order just to like make it so I can't live more than comfortably. You know what I mean? Like
well,
Bill
I mean,
Gates
there's a lot of people
exists.
who are currently dying because of structural violence, which is rich people abusing the system, causing them to be.
I don't know
abused
if they're
because of the
dying,
system.
man. Like it is
There are a
not
lot of people that are homeless because of the system, not
For the
because of their
500
own
men.
decisions, but because of outside factors they have no control over.
Fair.
the majority of homeless people are there because of either a disability or because they are lazy or they are stupid. That is
Nobody's
the
The
reality.
majority of homeless
Because
people are
home is where
caused
the
by
heart is.
situations like the whole point is that I'm going into the argument that like a person's own decisions are actually controlled by their environment as a child. So if you provide them a bad environment, then
God
they will make
damn
bad
it.
decisions, and so that's all structural violence caused by a system that
I would blame the
You're-
public school systems for that, to be honest.
Here's the communist stuff right there. That was it. That was what I was waiting for. Was that to come up?
Yeah. So it's based on the fact that somebody's upraising is actually the determinants of what they're going to do. Most people
So
don't
you
make
don't
their own
believe
decisions.
you don't believe that people can do evil themselves. You believe that people are not responsible for those evils.
No, I believe that
different-
inherent evil in people does exist, and that you will do evil things if you feel that it is in your own personal benefit, and that you will not get in trouble for it.
By their class. You just said that.
Toby.
I feel like people
One sec.
do what is rational to them, and that rationality is determined by their childhood or what they're taught.
Yeah, but that just doesn't make
Yep.
sense, though. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because if you're saying that people are determined by their class, by their, basically their economic status, then people that are in welfare right now in America, for example, none of them are taking advantage of the system at all. It's all people that have either been wronged in some way by someone who's more powerful than them.
No, there are
They
people that
shouldn't-
are taking advantage of welfare. It's not a large population of people, but there are, and those are people that have made the rationale that it is easier in their own brain to do that than it is to do a real job.
Well, if you're talking about people taking advantage of welfare, you can't compare them to the population of the country. You're supposed to compare them to the population of people on welfare.
Yeah, the other people, there's people on welfare that are on there because they don't actually have the ability to get a job. They don't actually have the ability to do what they want.
So why aren't they just on disability?
Well, no, I'm talking about like they can't get a job. Like, let's say it's somebody who's a recidivized, not recidivized, that's the opposite word, rehabilitated criminal
Yes.
who doesn't get a job because they were a criminal, even though they're better now, which is because of the structural violence issues. The original, like, let's say the original reason for their crime was because they got raised in a low-income area, and that they were like part of a gang or something like that, because that was the only way to survive. And then they did gang stuff and got busted for it. Now they can't get a job because they are marked and they wear the scarlet letter.
They made a bad decision. They made
But
bad
that bad
decisions.
decision was caused by structural violence, not by themselves.
How? Where's the
Sometimes
structural violence?
A large
Where's that
amount of people
structural
that are in
violence
gangs
bringing
right
them
now
towards
don't want
crime
to
when
be.
they could have just been? They could have
Most
just
people
gotten
that
a
are in
job.
gangs, like a majority of people that are in gangs, don't want to be in gangs. They hate being in gangs, but they have to because it's the safest way to live their lives.
That is true, at least. here
But in like
from what I
Compton,
know.
most of the people that are part of like actually like Detroit and stuff, most people that are part of the Bloods.
That's a
and
liberal
the-
town, by the way. Just want to.
Yeah, I'm aware.
We're
I'm aware.
liberal.
I'm not saying that I agree with liberals. I'm saying that I agree with my own things I say.
Yeah.
Which are liberal, but yeah.
Well,
They're
yeah,
liberal.
but it's not the liberal view. It's a liberal.
No, you're not full liberal. You're more
You're
to the center
weird.
than that.
You're kind of all over the place, to be honest.
I am all over the place.
You're kind of
I'm
all over the
both
place. You are
libertarian and
very,
authoritarian.
very communist. But other than that, there are things that you kind of horseshoe
but-
around onto the other end of the spectrum, which is
If he
weird.
believes that he can't believe in determinism though, and say that people in the welfare system are taking advantage of it. You can't hold that position and be consistent.
Well, no, the thing is, like, people can take advantage of it. It just means they're lazy people. There are people who are lazy. Those people exist, and they decide that it is harder to get a job and do things with their own life than it is to steal money from other people's taxes.
Yeah, but you can't hold them responsible because it's not their fault. Not their fault.
Yeah, if it's not their fault, why are they being held responsible?
It's not their fault ultimately. It's not their fault ultimately.
Some of the people that I've met during the court proceedings for getting my family's disability money, those people were in the system because they had enough money. They just decided that it would be easier to get them, like they had enough, their upraising was good. They went to public schools that were actually well funded here in a really good town for public schooling. They had no problems getting jobs as kids, like as teenagers and stuff, but they decided that it'd be easier to get get welfare as their job. And they would just keep welfare, even though they didn't need it and they didn't have any reason to have it. They just abused the system.
Right. You understand that capitalism takes care of that problem, right?
If you don't provide the welfare, yes, but my personal advocacy is for welfare, but like we're not going to get into that. We're talking about environment.
I'm just
we can talk about everything. It's a flow of thought thing.
No, I'm just saying that capitalism allows people in lower brackets economically to rise because there's no restrictions.
Well, but then the structural violence does suppress them.
Here's the other thing. There is a lot of regulation on small business, right?
Yeah.
Like an absurd amount of regulation on small business, as well as like large corporations cozying up to government and things like that, and being protected, right? A form of protectionism specific to corporatism, right? But when you can remove those things from legislation and you can give just kind of like, in fact, like more incentive or even like tax cuts to small businesses, right? What you can do with that is you can allow criminals who have reformed and have come out of, or have been rehabilitated and have come back into society, they can start their own business and then they can make money from that and they'll have a much easier time.
I don't believe starting your own business is the solution to most of these problems because of the fact that there is so many businesses. Creating a good competitive business is very, very difficult.
It could be anything, man. It could be fucking fortune telling if he wants.
Of course it's difficult. That's kind of the point, is the risk.
Well, so the issue is that what happens there is that you provide a non-answer to a large amount of people because there are a large amount of
because they don't want to start a business.
To start a business that is unsure because they have to have a job that is not that.
Man, they could go around. They could go around fucking like cutting lawns, like.
Well, I'm saying like, let's say that you have a minimum wage job and you're surviving and you're providing for your kid.
Cotton. You could pick cotton.
Thanks. If you're let's say you have a minimum wage job that's full time and you try to provide for your or two of them, or whatever it takes to provide for you and your
now
whoever they are.
I want to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can speak. It's fine.
Oh, mine's gonna be long, so.
Do it, Dad.
Okay, then I'm interrupting. So, last time you were talking about your kind of like your perfect political system, and it's funny that you mentioned that because like a while back, like I was going over some ideas with Mike and some other people, and we were talking about kind of like a mock platform and a mock system. And one of the things we came to, or rather I came to the conclusion about, was a blend between a socialist society and a private one, which is kind of semantical in some degrees, in some respects, but one of the things we talked about specifically was on welfare. And what we were going to do was basically have people who were going to go on welfare basically be in touch with job agencies, as well as when they're not doing that, or at home on their free time, they would basically be a part of a socialist system in which that they would have to work for the public system. They'd have to have a public job.
Socialized jobs.
Basically.
The job systems are very regulated in that you have the companies all contact this agency, and that agency spreads the jobs out to people that don't have them.
Yeah, basically. But it would be a socialized job system in which they would basically be doing work for the government and then being paid by the government.
Yeah, that works great.
Yeah. Which is something I agree way more with than welfare, because at least now they're providing something, and you can provide them a wage. It probably is not going to be as good as a private job, but it's something that is a better safety net, in my opinion. Something for like disability, that's different. Disability is disability. I don't disagree with the idea that disability exists.
I agree completely with what you're saying there in our current American system and current Canadian system and current Irish system.
I think it's a much better choice.
yeah, we should have every disability place, whenever you apply for disability, whatever's going on there, be in contact with a job market that is very structured and cataloged.
working with private, working in conjunction with private job agencies.
I say job searching should be public. Like, Kelly Blue Books or whatever.
That exists in Canada. That exists in Canada, and let me tell you, it's fucking garbage. It does not work.
Yeah,
it is trash.
It's because it's ran by people that don't have an incentive.
I'm telling you, yeah, exactly, because it's public. But I'm saying I walked into most of my jobs I've gotten from job agencies, and I've tried the public system. When I walk into a private job agency, I have a job the next week, and that's how I got this job. It's the best job I've ever had, and I've been at it for like a year and a half now, and it's fucking wonderful.
How did you get involved with the private job agency?
It's just a private job agency. A lot of job agencies are just private.
You just found it online? Like, where'd you find
it?
it?
No, I found the location. I went to the location. I talked to them, and they were like, "Here, we'll help you with a resume quickly. We have these openings. Blah blah blah." They got me a call the next week, and I was in the door like a couple days after.
Right. That's how they work around here too. There's pretty big ones around here for like machine operation and stuff like that.
People give job agencies this like horrible stigma, and it's bad because like they're great.
There are no job agencies.
Some of them are pretty bad.
Some of them, sure.
There's one around here that's gotten itself pretty notorious because what they'll do is they give a promise that when you get your job, you have this almost like a residency period where you get paid less and you can only work so many hours, but they call you on really shitty hours. And there's this weird system where they wait until the 90th day and then drop you because they don't have to take you until day 91 is when you are an actual employee.
Yeah, exactly. There's shit like that. I do hear about that, but for the most part we don't get those companies. So and again, you could pass legislation to prevent something like that. Iva the Jew. John?
Yes.
Oh, you were saying something along the lines of like that's how your system worked, or like how you got your job or something?
Yes, I went into a private recruitment agency called Diamond, and I got my job there within a week.
And now you're like an assistant plant manager, right?
Yeah, now I'm a supervisor of a line. Working 6 months in the agency, I was able to get a full-time job, or part-time, full-time kind of thing, contract with the company itself as a line supervisor.
Yep, it's basically the same kind of story I have, so it's dope.
Yeah, I've never actually known about private job agencies. There's literally zero in my area.
There probably is. You'd be surprised. Like
there's literally zero word of mouth about them in my area.
Okay, because like I searched online here, and I'm outside a bigger city, but like even in my hometown there was like 2, and that place is a shithole. So
well, I'm actually in the third biggest city in the state.
Well,
Washington.
Then I'm gonna tell you there's probably at least
Wait, you're
5
American?
within walking distance.
I'm in.
You're a what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're from DC.
No, I'm actually from the other one.
Oh.
The actual Washington. It's
real Washington.
Gross.
It's right south of Vancouver.
I don't know anything about American geography or geography. Where's Alberta?
You don't know where Vancouver is?
I don't know where Alberta is.
Oh my god, you don't know where Alberta is?
I'm just kidding.
Do I know Canadian geography better than you?
You probably do, to be honest. I don't pay attention. But that's just me. I suck at and do not care about geography. Whereas Michael is like...
all the provinces are.
Yeah. Whereas Michael is... I know the Northwest Territories and shit like that. And basically, if you ask me to put like... if I know where British Columbia is. I know where Quebec is. I know where PEI is.
The Northwest Territory is probably because it's in the name.
Yeah. And then, I know that there's 3 in the Northwest Territories, and then the rest are provinces, and blah. But like, if you ask me to like Saskatchewan, I know is the flat one, and then I don't really know which order they go in outside of that. So,
Northwest Territory, Saskatchewan, Yukon, across. The
I could
Hudson
probably
Bay,
get like how many provinces
Hudson
are there?
Bay
Territories like 13.
None of them.
I think there's 14.
14? Yeah, I could probably get like 12 out of them. And I'd fuck up the last 2 is most likely the case. That's because I'm dumb.
You have to learn 50 states. You have it easy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just don't care.
I know the states. I can do them too.
Yeah, those exist, and everybody.
You guys know where the St. Lawrence River is? It goes to the ocean from Ontario.
That
No.
is pretty dope. All right, I think
Yeah.
we're off on a random semantics. None of us are arguing, and that's a problem for this podcast. So please, everyone, start fighting.
Yeah, fuck you.
Let's-
I'm throwing a chicken in the middle. Everyone fight over it.
You believe in
Fucking sucks.
determinism?
You
believe
were.
in determinism?
Do you want to get
Sorry.
into? Do you want to talk about like determinism versus free
Before
will?
we do anything like that, who does believe in free will and who does not?
Me, free will, free will,
Half
Free
and half.
will.
System.
100,
Free will is bullshit.
100% free will.
is communist propaganda.
There's no freedom.
Yeah. you
What?
got
We're
it.
being watched.
No, free will is capitalist propaganda. You
It's
gotta get it right.
capitalist propaganda.
No, it's not.
If
no,
anything.
it's not. No, it's not.
What do you
No,
mean
it's not.
free will is communist propaganda?
It doesn't make any
Trying
The
sense.
to-
authoritarian
It's trying to-
system is like
it is
free will.
No.
What?
The idea of free will is trying to undermine the capitalist system. It is trying to undermine the beautiful, cynical nihilism that allows
Capitalism
capitalism
is
to function.
literally just like
No.
the free market.
Explain.
You're trolling.
Let me
There's no.
explain.
You're
I
a
am
piece of
trolling,
shit.
But hear me out. Free will is undermining capitalism, not communism. If everybody thinks they're special and they're unbound in their decisions and free love, and they think that the world is this great, big, wonderful, inviting thing that owes them anything,
No.
including the ability to be unbound.
You're a
Then
piece of
there's this-
garbage.
You're a piece of garbage. You fucking
You're
Yeah,
wasting
we
time
all-
right now.
We all don't really agree with your ability to
No.
explain
You
things
just made
better.
a moral judgment
He's
against Toby. That means you
he's
have free will.
trolling. Yeah, he's literally trolling. He's being a
To make a
shitbag.
moral judgment, to make a moral judgment, you need free will.
Yeah,
Simple.
well, it's not about whether or not I believe free will exists. It's whether or not I value free will. I think is the conversation here. Like for instance, I 100% value free will. It's the only reason I love capitalism. It's because I love free will. I love capitalism because capitalism is the full extent of free will in the market.
Here, let's
do
redefine
think
free will for a moment so he can shut up. Free will is the ability to, or the perceived ability to make your own decisions.
Yes.
Perceived.
The perceived.
Yeah, I'm saying
Solipsism.
that because the predication of free will is all
Solipsism.
about your mental thing and not about government.
Where'd you get that
I-
definition?
Yeah.
I'm just. I
We're
just
talking
came up
about
with it.
we're talking about free will with
I'm-
government. We're talking about
Oh,
free
so
will
Well,
with
because
government.
like right now
Yourself.
we could argue about whether or not free will is actually a thing in our brains, but I think we want to talk more about society.
Well, then we're just getting into solipsism, and that doesn't help anybody. Solipsism
No,
is
we're
just
not. No, it's the communist mindset of arguing determinism.
you need solipsism for a communist mindset
That's why he said the
in a double
perception.
think society, as at least.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that then it eliminates the ability for somebody to argue here, namely John constantly, about how you actually never make decisions anyways. Yeah, you do make decisions. We're just going to pretend like people always have been able to make decisions. That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
I think people make decisions, but there's a difference between being able to make choices and being free in your decision making. Having free will is removed from.
Let's talk about the
Well-
determinism in the classes. How about that? Because that's what Saul was talking about originally anyway, was the fact that if you live in a poverty sector, you are determined by that environment.
Well,
I
you
would
have
say
a
that less
probability.
government makes it more likely to not be living in a poverty sector. Is my first answer to that.
Okay, so Saul, let me ask you, when you say we're determined by the environment around us in terms of economic, are you saying that it's not like a full-blown determinism you're talking about, or are you talking about like it's a disadvantage?
He's talking about
do you
the nature versus nurture. But he's on the side of nature is basically what he's saying. And he's saying that gives reason
nurture,
to.
actually. Nurture in the fact that everything that you learn in your life
Oh,
will
yeah,
teach
nurture.
you how to be the
Yeah.
person that you are. And so if you're born into a society which doesn't teach you how to manage money, which doesn't teach you about anything that's actually economically advantageous, you are going to be economically inane. And so,
So every single time?
That's why I hate
Okay,
the
I-
private.
you have to learn your own way. If you learn your own way, you can, but it's very unlikely that a person that doesn't realize that this thing exists, that this thing matters
Right.
to them, is going to learn about it. They can, and they become a success story, but it's very unlikely.
I mean, like Ben Carson, like 100 emoji.
Advantages, right?
I love Ben Carson. What a dude. What a
Yeah,
cute, what a
man.
cute little dude. Love that guy.
My pyramids, my Jesus.
Yeah, but Ben Carson, how he became a smart person that knew how to do things was because he learned. And a lot of times, that ability, that
It doesn't always happen. Yeah.
that
Which is freely available to all people in those poverty sectors, by the way. Education is
the
free.
culture of learning isn't propagated in poverty sections.
Yes,
Yeah,
which is
what
why
there is no culture of learning.
which is why I
So
hate
then
public
it's not determined.
schools.
So then that shows that it's not determined. Then it's simply a choice.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that because every single person in this
They
person's
made-
life doesn't believe learning is important, they are going to believe that learning is not important because all of their dads are
They're
drug
likely
dealers.
to. That's not.
All of their
they
all of
still
their
have a
moms are drug dealers.
choice.
All of their dads are dicks that like shoot people or whatever. Like that's the whole thing. Is that if you are around only people
Fine.
that suck,
Or
you're very likely to suck.
I will make an argument here, in antithesis to that, because I believe
gonna
the
make an
opposite.
argument?
Yeah, I'm gonna make an
The people
argument.
that come out of poverty, the people that work hard and come out of poverty, made a choice.
Yes,
That goes
because
completely against me.
there is a very alarming high number of atheists that come out of Christian families. So where's that logic congruent with that?
Well, I'm talking about the fact that like atheism is a thing that you know about when you're Christian.
You
are
know about
aware
being
that-
rich. You know about making
Yeah,
money
you don't-
or getting a
aren't aware-
job.
But you don't know
aren't
how
aware
to
of the
do it.
steps.
That's
yeah,
different.
it's the fact that like they don't know that the library is a place that isn't for nerds. They don't know the library is a place that will teach them about how to succeed in life. They just think it's a
You don't
place
even
with a lot
need
of
the
books that doesn't
library
fucking
anymore.
matter.
Now it's just literally and
Well,
no
this
and
is just specifically because you said Ben Carson, so I'm relating back to that part.
yeah, I do love Ben Carson though, but genuinely,
Yeah.
genuinely,
Flies in the face of determined for what you'd explain. However you explain this, the very simple fact that someone can choose to do otherwise
yes,
proves determinism is false.
But if it's not in your brain, if there is no knowledge
They're
of the
unlikely to,
existence
but
of
they
an
still-
alternative,
they still
you are
can.
not going to determine.
that's not
You are
that's
only
not
able to determine
that
the
is
things
not
you know.
that is not 100% true. That is not a deterministic statement, and determinism is a 100% statement.
Yeah, I'm not saying that everything is determined. I'm saying there's a large factor of determinism. It's just not.
It plays a role,
100%.
yeah.
There is, if you live in a low poverty,
Not determinism.
a
You
high
can't use that
poverty
word.
sector, there is such a huge amount of weight that you will never actually even learn that it's possible for you to become rich and the way to get to that.
Pillar. I am.
Determinism is not being used correctly
What?
here.
I couldn't
The
hear you
problem
there.
I have. The word determinism is not being used correctly here.
No, not you.
Not determinism.
John. The other John.
Me?
Oh, okay. I'm lagging anyway, so you can't even hear me anyway.
No, you're not lagging. You're fine. We're just ignoring
You're
you.
fine.
Oh, of course.
Pillar.
Disadvantage.
I'm with you.
He's trying to explain disadvantage over determinism, but he keeps using this word determinism that doesn't work in this.
Yeah,
Well, you were
disadvantaged
talking
is
about
fine.
determinism, but you also related it back to my disadvantage argument. So what I was saying is that it's partially determinism because if you don't have the knowledge of something, you can't ever actually choose to do that something because it's not even in your brain to choose.
The knowledge isn't blocked though. Like there's accesses outside of the family house. Like you don't have
Actively
to
search
be
for
living
something
a
you don't
life.
actually know exists.
If the person is in an incredibly unfortunate circumstance to have never learned that a job is something that is possible for
Like, hold
black
on a
people to
second.
get, then
Hold
I
on a
suppose then yes, but
But
yeah.
why do people born into rich families end up blowing all of their parents' money and
Yeah,
they
people
die?
born into rich families just like they
like that
they
flies in
just
the face again of
lose
determinism?
their fucking
because they learn to be stuck up, they learn to have pride, and they learn that they can determine their own life, and then they decide to choose.
They never learn to work.
Not learn what their parents are teaching them.
they never learn to work, and I guarantee you it's probably at the same percentage as people in low positions.
It's probably similar. I wouldn't say it's the same percentage because like the difference with rich people is that the choice is theirs to not learn things that they've heard about.
7 out of 10.
Well,
Honestly,
like
what it sounds like we're arguing here is whether or not ego or super ego rules the mind. That's what this discussion sounds like to me.
It's different for
I'm-
people.
My whole point here is saying is that if there are things that are not in your brain, if you literally have no knowledge of
It's
a
more ego in it,
subject,
but yeah.
like let's say geology, if you've never heard the word geology and you've never wondered about rocks in your entire life, you can't actively search for geology. There's no possible way for your brain to come up with that until you see
Yeah, but
a
you
rock
can
and
you
observe
can
it.
search learning about rocks.
Once you've
so-
seen a rock and observe it. So that's what I'm saying. I know
Yeah,
that it's hard,
but
it's
now
hard
you're-
to never see a rock. but, like,
It's
what I'm
also
saying-
hard to never see somebody in a good position and be like,
Well-
hey, how do I get that? You know what I mean?
Pyongyang, I rest my case.
Like the what you're saying, yeah, you can see somebody with a good job, but then you're like, okay, how do I get that job? And then you try to search for it, but like there's surface searching, and then there's actual like deep searching. So if they don't know the way to achieve the knowledge of how to get there, that middle step, the step 1 of want to get a good job, step 2, how to get a good job, step 3, have a good job. That step 2 is literally not even in their brains.
And you don't
how.
think anyone's like, if he's like, how am I going to get a job? Or I want money.
If you're in an unfortunate circumstance
he's
where
not
everybody in your life is in a game, yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty unfortunate circumstance.
There's a large amount of people who have no good
when you say
influences.
large, you're still only talking about like 0.5% of the population.
Well, this is the 0.5% of the population that propagates almost all of the gang culture, almost all of the actual crime that
it's an incredibly
happens.
Unfortunate circumstance, and you are
gang
correct.
Culture and
it's the same as
it's
the same as the abortion argument. The abortion argument being that when you like, what about this woman who's dying? Are you going to make her force her to like keep the baby and die, or terminate the baby as a choice to live? And the circumstance for that would be like, okay, a pregnant woman gets breast cancer, right? Where having chemotherapy will abort the baby. And in that unfortunate circumstance, yes, she should have that choice, because that's an incredibly rare unfortunate circumstances. And for the sake of that argument, that doesn't extend to the full argument, right? That doesn't extend for the normal cases. That only extends for these special circumstances.
Now we're talking about abortion?
No, I'm
he was
comparing
using as an example in that one.
I wish my parents would have
abortion.
aborted me.
And that's an
Same.
incredibly unfortunate circumstance that this disabled woman with breast cancer, who's autistic and has a kid, has to choose to lose either her life or her kids, right? But it's a very rare circumstance that does not extend to the majority of the people. And what you're talking about, it could put what you're talking about could put a damper on either morality or the damper on the rest of society in order to try and help these this minority, this like very small minority of people.
So yeah, I'm not talking. Let me be a little bit more generic in what I'm saying, so it applies to a larger population. A large amount of people will have some good influences in their life, but they will never choose to follow those good influences because of their circumstances. It's not because of their own personal decisions, but it's because of the fact that they don't feel that they have a decision to follow that person.
Yes.
They don't. It's a compelled decision based on societal
implications.
So they have
societal assumptions.
But what's the solution for that?
They take responsibility, is what you're saying. There's responsibility taken in that they're not choosing to do so. I don't.
Well, the thing is, like, let's say that, like, I could go, okay. Let's say that there's some kid that his friends are all druggies, and he's in a normal high school where 98% of the people around him are going to go get a job and survive.
This is me, by the way, just so you know. I grew up impoverished, like incredibly poor, and like food stamps. All my friends took drugs. I took drugs.
But that type of circumstance. Jin decided to get a job, and at one point you had to make the decision to betray the trust of the people around you that were the bad influences and go to
I never had to do that though. I was just like, hey guys, I'm gonna get a job. Basically, I was like I would talk to them and I'd be like, there's more than this. Basically, I would talk
Toby
to Jeremy.
flies in the face actually of determinism, because Toby should be a total left-wing libtard.
I should be. In fact, I used to be. I used to be very, very on your side of this argument. Very hardcore on this side of this argument. I used to say things like, I think a benign dictatorship is the best government system.
Well,
I don't believe benign dictatorship.
But just saying.
I believe Jesus Christ should rule us all.
Oh yeah, use the Mormon argument there.
No, he's Christadelphian. He flies in the face of typical. I guess as we're gonna wrap this up. By the way, it's the end of this episode. But I think when we wrap this up, I think we should give just a little bit of kind of like an explanation as to like what if we're going to put ourselves in a box. Like, kind of, who are we, right? Like, what are our beliefs?
In boxes. Don't assume my gender.
Yeah, like, who are we? What is
I
our?
identify as a triangle.
Yes, I identify as a giant sequoia. My friends just call me Sec, and I'm a large
having
tree.
Sex with you count as having sex with trees?
Yes.
Nice. I can actually be a real hippie.
Yeah, and then so I need, please respect my boundaries as I need room to grow.
Can I just be the god slot?
Yeah, you are Godslot. Which is the
Good.
which is the best name. What was it
Cool,
before?
Let's
Sky
do the
Daddy.
box thing.
Sky Daddy, yeah. So, I guess I'll start
What
to kind
is Sky
of
Daddy?
give you an explanation as to what I mean. I'm kind of a former hardcore leftist turned alt-right Trump supporting Canadian minarchist
Hello?
into metal music, and
Hello.
John.
that's basically me. So I'll pass that to, I guess, whoever else wants that handle.
Give it to the God slot.
I'll give it to Godslot. Mike, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
What a question. I am a white Anglo-Saxon Christian
Philadelphia.
Protestant. No, I'm a Protestant. Don't interrupt. What else am I? I guess I'm right of center. I fall probably underneath. Fall into the libertarian sphere more than I do the authoritarian sphere, but I hear arguments for why authoritarian positions are not the worst thing we could do, because people are capable of both good and evil, I believe. And because of that, I can't fully trust humanity. So I see why systems of rule are not always wrong. I can't advocate that it's purely up to our own devices in a libertarian society because of humans' flaws. I cannot fully support that. So that's why I'm right of center. I'm pretty like center right around there.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Cool. And then I will pass that to, I guess, let's do Anarchist John next.
All right. So I'm John Alex. I'm a solo musician. I'm a Michigander. So I found it fascinating when I saw a mountain for the first time in my life. I found out that apparently the ground isn't always just rolling hills. Apparently there's spiky things too. Oh, and trees can be tall. That tripped me the fuck out. I'm an anarchist. And I'm very, very strongly, I'm told I'm right-leaning, though I tend to think of myself as being centrist.
Well, anarchists are typically kind of economically right. That's specifically due to like your anarcho-capitalism. Left-right is just an economic scale, so.
Just bottom right on the spectrum. If you look at the square, you're bottom right.
Yeah, you're bottom right.
Maybe closer to the center on some things. I don't know.
Anyway, keep going.
I myself would usually first identify as a musician and an anarchist second. And I'm a cook. I mean, I've worked some weird jobs in my time, but I love being a cook. It's just the bomb diggity.
Well, as an anarcho-capitalist, you have to do some weird jobs.
Man, you're
Fair.
boring. You're
And
boring.
I am the only anarcho-capitalist I know that if I were to sit down and have a chit chat with an anarcho-communist, or an ANCOM, I probably would be okay with living in a syndicate, or not a syndicate, fuck syndicalists, but I'd probably be okay with living in a commune so long as it were truly anarchist. And that's really the big disagreement I have with the left, anarcho side, is that they tend to abandon anarchism for communism.
I agree. It's a lot of them say that the anarchism is a method in order to get to communism. Basically, is what they say. So, I do agree. All right, I guess let's pass it to Jon Iva. Give a short little blurb about who you are, because you're fairly centrist, so your political beliefs are kind of.
Yes, I am a neutral party in this party. I'm a small-time artist, as probably everyone knows, and my full name is Jon Iva.
Jesus Christ, never say that again. That hurts me.
Wait,
Say
what
it
did you say?
again. Do it.
My name is Jon Iva.
Holy fuck. Moon speak. Anything else?
Yes. And I have crippling depression.
There you go. Nice.
Same.
Crippling depression. Perfect.
All right, I guess we'll finish it off with our
Well, if we're just
resident
talking about
comment.
things that are wrong with us, I mean,
No, there's so many things. Please, let's pass it to Pillar.
Someone
Pillar.
would consider me a black person.
Can I say one
so
thing that's wrong with me?
pillars.
Yes, you can say one thing.
I'm a
that's wrong.
vegan. I'm
You're-
just kidding.
Are you? I was gonna
Just
say,
kidding.
yeah,
I
actually.
was gonna say that was like my whole bio.
Yeah.
What is Pillar of Salt? I'm a vegan.
Yeah.
No,
I'm an
not.
ethical
I
vegan.
really like chicken. Chicken's great. I hate
Chicken is
beef
great.
for ethical reasons.
Oh, gross.
Anyways,
I had chicken
so
today.
hey, shut the fuck up. It's my turn. I'm holding the pillow right now. I have the talking pillow.
He has the talking pillow.
So I identify as socialist and or communist. Everything else about me is all over the place. I really don't. I'm really scientific in everything I try to do. So I don't believe there is a soul. I don't believe there's a way for people to be able to can have free will without it being in just their brain. So that's where all those opinions came from.
Same.
I have had my sort of issues, not as bad as some people. So I try to understand the world from a layman's perspective and assume that everybody is as equals to me, and that's where I believe is the best way to figure out how to solve the world.
Well,
I see myself as a median.
I'm also pretty straight edge, and I like blondes.
yeah, he's straight edge. He drank coffee once and was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do any more
You
drugs."
already told them the coffee story.
Yeah, but I didn't tell it on recording. So yeah.
Coffee is so gross.
Coffee is the
Coffee,
gateway
I didn't
drug.
like it anyway.
It's the drink of the
That's
devil.
my last name, by the way.
Coffee?
Yep.
Landon Coffee?
Oh yeah.
Man, I don't know why you hate. I don't know why you hate
Well, it's
capitalism.
because I hate myself.
I know. I don't know why you hate capitalism because that is a great name for a business. So.
It's because I hate myself.
All right. All right. So I guess that's it, guys. We're out.
That's all right.
Bye.